What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be doing the brakes on the E36 to get this thing ready to be on the road. I have been talking to Jordan at RK Tunes about getting the tune sent over. I got the ECU reading correctly, which I was having a problem with. It seems to be that there is something with the software that he has on the website. So he ended up sending me some different software, and it worked just as it should, just after I downloaded the drivers and everything he sent me. So but I'll be doing the brakes on this today, and I'm doing a little bit different upgrade than I would be normal just for like a regular service or anything like that, because obviously with the added power that I'm putting in this car, you want upgraded stopping power as well, because if you're accelerating faster, you also want to be able to stop faster. So the upgrade that I'm doing today is actually one that is fairly, decently well known. But the brakes that I'm putting on this are actually from a Porsche 996, which was from early 2000s. It's the 911 Carrera. And the brakes for the part number, which I'll have in the description below, also come from a few other Porsche vehicles that are made. But the main one it's known for coming from is the 911. So again, I'll have those down in the description for what part numbers those are to look for, and prices, everything like that, like I do on my other videos. So the other thing I'm doing along with those brakes is I'm actually going to be putting European E46 M3 rotors on there. So let me get you turned around. I'll show you everything that I'm working with, and then we'll get started putting those on. So here is the Porsche or caliper I was telling you about, the E46 M3, the European rotor. Now the difference between this one and the American version is the center. Obviously that's a magnet, it's aluminum, where the actual disc itself is steel. So they cast these separately. Well, they cast, I think, this first, and then they cast the steel around it. He's got these little connecting points. So you can actually see all the way down to the table there. The only thing supporting it is those little standoffs right there. So also, as you can tell, these are directional rotors, so you do have to put them on the correct side. So typically, whichever way they are leaning, so this would actually be a left side rotor or driver side rotor. In this case, you want them to lean backwards. The holes do not dictate which side this goes on. It is actually the cooling vanes here, because if you have them backwards, they will not work as efficiently as if they are on the correct way. So there's that, and then this right here makes all of this work together, this and this line here. So these are both sold by RallyRoad, which is local to me. I'm in Southeast Michigan. So I actually picked these up from RallyRoad. Very nicely made machine pieces, come with ARP hardware and everything. That's the part number for it, just so you have that. I will put it in the description also. And then the brake line, so it'll replace your factory brake lines with one that bolts directly in. This actually has an adapter that comes with it that you will bolt into the rotor, and then this is actually free spinning, so you actually have a little bit of freedom of how you can position that line once you put it in. So this is basically all you need for this swap kit. It makes it super easy, and this ends up being substantially cheaper than buying a Brembo big brake kit. I believe the prices for like a front big brake kit like this are normally like $2,000-$3,000, just depending on what company you go with. I mean, this is all this is real Brembo stuff, Zimmerman, and then the RallyRoad stuff here. But to make all this work, you would have to spend a couple grand on that. So this all comes out. I paid $450 for the calipers. I think each one of these rotors was like 130 bucks, I think, maybe. Again, I'll link this all down in the description, but for around $1,000 you can have an entire front big brake kit for your E36. So that just leads into, we will start getting this all installed, and I'll show you exactly how easy it is. All right, so I have everything off here. So here's a little dad hack for you. You can take trimmer line to tie up your calipers and stuff when you need them out of the way. The reason I haven't completely removed it from the system yet is because we're going to be, you can see these little ears right here, and there's a little bit of casting on the outside too. For these brackets from RallyRoad to work, you have to grind pretty much all of that flat so that it's like even with the rest of this here. So make sure you use a flap wheel or a sanding disc on a 90-degree die grinder. You do not want to use a regular grinding wheel on this because it is cast. You don't want it to catch it and snap it or anything like that. So you want something that's not going to catch. So you have to do this top and bottom. There's a nub here too. You'll have to keep fitting it until the bolt goes through, and you really don't want any force on the bolt. You should be able to spin it pretty freely by hand. So you want to keep massaging this area and this area down here until that bracket fits and you can bolt it on without any issues. You should be able to do it by hand. You shouldn't have to use a wrench to be able to tighten those down. Also, I should note, it says in the instructions for this that you may have to cut some of this. I installed the other side already and did not have to touch any of this heat shield, and the disc actually comes up to like right here. So it's actually about the same size as the dust shield. So you don't have to touch the dust shields. The only thing you have to do is grind that little section right there and right there. So I'm gonna put you on time lapse so you can watch me grind that. And then we will get to fitting the rest of this up, cleaning up these hubs here, make sure we got a nice flat surface to put our new disc on, and then we will install everything else. All right, so I've got this just regular flap disc on the grinder here. It is a 80 grit, but this will be a lot better for doing this. Like I said, it won't catch, but it'll still take the metal off pretty quickly. The other side took me maybe 5 minutes to get it to where the bracket fit. So this is what I'm going to be using. Again, you can use a regular sanding disc on a 90-degree grinder if you want to do that, but this works pretty well too. So I'm going to go ahead and use this. All right, so as you can see, this is ground pretty smooth, so I'm gonna go ahead and test fit the bracket on here. It should be close enough. I think the bottom might need a little bit more, but we'll go ahead and test fit it first. So, and then if it works all right, we'll just hit it with a little bit of black paint, and we'll wait for that to dry for a little bit and then put the bracket on. All right, there you can see the bracket is now installed. I did have to take a little bit off the top side, which I thought I had to do the bottom, but it's actually the top. So like I said, you want these to go in fairly easily. You don't want to have to force them or use a wrench to try and get them to go tight. So you should be able to thread those all the way in by hand, which they are now. And then those get torqued to 59 foot-pounds. And then once those are torqued, you can start stacking up your rotor and your caliper and everything. So I'll grab those and we'll start putting those on. All right, so before I start stacking all this up, I've got the rotor here, caliper here. We got to get rid of this right here. So I've got my line wrenches and everything. Go ahead and get a drain pan because we'll definitely have some brake fluid leaking out of here. There's a line from the other side. Like I said, I did one of these already. But so we are going to disconnect the line at both locations because you have to spin this one out in order to spin it out of there, or you can just loosen it here and spin the whole caliper, which I made. Actually, I'm going to do that. That's a little easier than taking it off the caliper. I can take it off the caliper on the bench then. But so you're just going to disconnect right here, disconnect right here. This only has flat spots in it, so you can only use like an open-end wrench. And then make sure you use a line wrench on these fittings because they like to round off. That is an 11 millimeter, by the way, which I have every size but that. So I'm not going to be using a line wrench, but you should use a line wrench on that if you have one. So I'm going to take those off, and then I will start stacking all that up. All right, so that is now removed. You can see that the line right here is dripping right there. So, there's dripping there. So we will go ahead and put the rotor on first. There is a place for the set screw here, but that's not what I'm going to use. I'm going to actually just use a couple of the lug nuts to secure it in place, and then stack the caliper on. And then the caliper, once it's on there, gets torqued to 35 foot-pounds. Don't torque it any more than that per the instructions. And then once that's on, go ahead and put your line on, and you're going to tighten that again with your line wrenches. And then I will do that real quick, and then we'll go over that. All right, so let's just take a minute to appreciate how good these look on here. For now, I'm going to leave all the Porsche logoing, all that stuff. Write down in the comments whether or not you think I should paint the calipers and put new Porsche stickers on them, or paint the calipers and put Brembo stickers on them, or if I should just leave them alone, or leave them black and put new stickers on them. I mean, I can do just about anything with them, obviously. Just for the sake of driving the car this year. I just want to kind of put them on and, you know, go this season just the way they are. So, but just to show you how nicely these things spin and how close the tolerances are, the RallyRoad stuff sets it perfectly where it needs to be. Now, as you notice, I don't have any brake pads in here right now. Those are coming, so the wheels won't be going back on today, but the brakes at least are all done for the most part. Putting these pads on is just a matter of sliding them in, putting the anti-rattle bracket in, and putting the pin through it. So the other thing is, I have this brake pad wear sensor that I would like to retain, so I may end up splicing this, or if it fits into the new pads at all, or I can get it to fit into the new pads at all, I might keep it, just depending on what the design of the Porsche one is and whether or not it's similar enough or not. I may just end up splicing one of the Porsche ones in just so I can maintain that feature. So it's nice to know when your brake pads are getting low or something's going wrong. So I'll keep that, but there's the brakes. I'm gonna go ahead and continue doing other stuff with the car, draining the fluid, stuff like that. But this is all I have for you today. You can see how well, again, it assembles. I mean, I did this in probably 45 minutes to an hour, installed the one side. So without filming and doing all that other stuff, I probably would have had it done in 20, 30 minutes. So again, great budget upgrade. I'll put all the prices in the description below, but other than that, we're all done with this for today. So that'll be a nice addition to the car. So yeah, so that's all I've got for you today as far as the video. I'm gonna go ahead and put the rear brakes on. I didn't figure that needed filmed. Like I said, that's just gonna be a basic brake job in the rear. The only difference is I'm just using HP or Hawk HP or Hawk 5.0 pads. I forget which ones. Is the only difference. I'm just putting a cross-drilled rotor. All right, so my phone cut out there, but so I'm gonna be using cross-drilled rotors with Hawk HP 5.0 pads. The reason being is actually right in front of me here. So let me get you turned around. I can show you exactly why. Some of you might know already, but let me show you. So these are gonna be on the back of this car. So they are Mickey Thompson ET Street SS on a 15 by 8 inch wheel with a 5.5 inch back spacing. They are actually a 5 by 4.5 bolt pattern, which comes out to roughly about 120.65. It's a Chevy bolt pattern, but it's off 0.5 millimeter, so these bolt up just fine to this without having anything else on there. So that's what we're going to be running. Actually, while my phone was charging, got one side done, so let me actually show you that. All right, so there is the installed wheel with the new brakes. Again, like I said, they're just going to be cross-drilled with the Hawk HP 5.0s with the Jegs wheels on there. These should be plenty grippy. You can kind of see that they stick out right now, but once the suspension settles, they actually sit really nicely. And I actually did take out the T-in spring there that I have, or tie-in, whatever you call it. I don't know if you can really see it at all. No, you can't. But I just put factory M3 springs back in, which are, there's one of them sitting under the motorcycle. So that one will go on the other side. But anyways, that's all I wanted to show you today. So I'll have some other stuff. I'm going to do the fluids and stuff on the diff and the transmission, just because I haven't done them yet. And then that should be it for now. I do still have to wire in the radiator fan, but I'll probably do a separate video for that one, just because with this setup and everything, it is kind of involved to put in an aftermarket fan trigger, all that stuff. So I will do that on another video, but thanks for watching. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Dad Bod Garage Official, or on Facebook, Dad Bod Garage. And then don't forget to like and subscribe this video. So thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.